The project I'm talking about today is an area that I went to 5 years ago, and it's about a couple hundred miles east of Los Angeles. And I was really baffled by this area because it's out in the desert. It's out really, what you'd say, like in the middle of nowhere. But I saw like this hotel, palm trees blown down, everything looking like a complete disaster. You know, and at first I thought, okay, this is strange. What's happening here? California's a rich state. Everything should be fine. Have a beautiful sea, but there's nobody there. It's empty. It's completely devoid of people. And but I could tell, many years in the past, something was fine here. Of course, you look at the swimming pool and you figure out why nobody's there. They forgot to put the water in it. But it's more than that. There's a lot of commerce going through. You can see a train coming through in the background. As I kept driving, I was seeing these very, very bizarre places like this. You have some old, hut. The guy had a trailer in it, and then he's got a missile or bomb, up in the air. Obviously not functional anymore. And what's this about? Later, I got further in and found this structure that a man who spent the second half of his life making out of hay bales, out of all of the garbage he could find in the desert, out of paint that people have brought him. And he's a guy that I met and found out that many years ago he tried to make a balloon, send it up in the air, write scriptures on it, and it didn't work. The balloon never flew. It actually rotted. And this is the man, Leonard Knight. And finally he said, I gave up. I can't get the balloon to fly. I need to make something else. So he's religious, obviously, and so he decided this is where I'm going to settle down. But this is an area that in the summer gets up to something like 53 degrees Celsius. It's one of the hottest spots on Earth. It's also one of the driest spots on Earth. It's in the Sonoran Desert. So with this inspiration, I came back just last month to re-photograph this area and try to get an understanding of it. What's this area all about? And so I started photographing and seeing what's happening. So I started out with landscapes. So anyway, I was in this area and I studied it a lot because I have an upcoming project on it, and I was reading about it, and I found out it's an area with, it shouldn't really have any water here. But about 100 years ago, some people decided to irrigate it with water from the Colorado River. And they messed up. They made a canal, but they didn't know how to stop the water. So when they had a flood, or inundacja as you say in Romanian, it basically made a sea. And if you look at the top of this flagpole and see how far down it is, that's sea level. So this area is far below the sea. And because of this natural disaster, this low spot filled up like a bowl or bathtub, and the water never went away. And now people finally started to live there. They said, okay, we've got water. We have water coming from the Colorado. Let's try to make some farming here. Let's try to make some agriculture in an area that really has no place being an area of agriculture. In one way it does, because it has sun. It has sun almost 365 days a year. You can grow crops all year long. In this sense, it's a sort of paradise. But you need an enormous amount of water to make a desert green. And so they ended up trying to say, what do we do? What do we do with this place? What do we do with this disaster that's happened? And anyway, it ended up being a place that people finally said, okay, we can try to control the river, we can try to control the sea. And in the 50s, they had great ideas, and they said, like, we're going to make all sorts of developments here. It's very near the border. This is actually the border fence with Mexico, this big black line. There's a canal and then the border. So there's actually a lot of cheap labor. These are primarily immigrants who come across the border to work in the fields, which is one of the necessary things for agriculture. These are some of the people who actually didn't make it. This sign is actually saying, not forgotten, no olvidados. This is a pauper's cemetery for people who didn't survive the trip across the border. So it's a land of all sorts of dichotomies. You think one thing, you see something else. You have beauty, you have natural disasters happening at the same time. And this is something throughout my life that's been fascinating to me. When I was a little child, we had Mount St. Helens blow up, and it's like massive disaster, but also it springs beauty from it. This is actually somebody's trailer that, that used to be on dry ground, then the water came, rose up too quickly, destroyed it. Now the water disappeared again, and everything is just like soaking back into the earth, which to me is probably a recurring theme in my work, how we make all sorts of things that we think are permanent, that we think have a good long-term place, and maybe they will, it depends, but often nature takes a different course. Right across from where those abandoned trailers were, you have, beautiful, beautiful nature. So in the same place that you're having something really, really, let's say, horrid and sort of apocalyptic, you also have something that's very beautiful. And this beauty, like the beauty of the sea, wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the mistakes of man. And so, I would say it's a mistake with what happened with the irrigation. This is very hard to see, it's dark. When I was out there, also, it's a place where all sorts of people with their own ideas are free to express themselves. This was a man who I just saw walking down the road. He's like 70 years old, he's walking really fast, carrying a flag, and I'm thinking, what's up with this? This is not normal. And I stopped, went to photograph him, and he was walking from San Diego to New York. To give you an idea, that's 5,000 kilometers. And he decided, I want to walk, I want to go raise awareness for veterans. So his name is Tony, and he's just carrying a backpack with an iPhone computer so he can connect with the rest of the world and try to promote his cause. And it's not, I'd say it's a little bit uncommon to run across somebody like him, but it's an area where a lot of eccentric people live and choose to live. People who are not, let's say, used to the normal ways that society controls them. This is actually a fault line. The last picture was a fault. This area lies on the San Andreas Fault, which is the fault that causes a lot of the big earthquakes in California. This is an area where somebody tried to set up a community, and right in the center of the picture, there's a fire hydrant, for the firemen. Why is there a fire hydrant in the middle of the desert where there's nothing? And one of the reasons for this was a long time ago, in the 50s, there was all sorts of ideas for this area. You look at all the telephone poles, but there's no houses. Why is this? But a long time ago, people had dreams and said, okay, we have a big sea, this is going to be a resort, this is great, let's develop this area. And then the sea went super sailing. Okay, there's fishing, but unfortunately this isn't fishing that people caught. This is fish just dead all alongside the coast. So I've only been there a short time, but my colleague in 1.5 years has only seen 2 fishermen. So why do you have a sea with only 2 fishermen? This area has become a place where chemicals from agriculture, all types of things, pollutants from Mexico, have all settled into this low spot. But it's also become a place for birds. It's become a great place for animals on their flights north and south each year. It's actually the largest area for bird migration in the country. So you have these strange, once again, these strange paradoxes of a place that is both disaster, but also in other ways, nature in some ways is still using this in also positive ways. This is agriculture here. Actually, from as far as you can see on either side is a field full of hay bales. And agriculture in America, particularly in this area, is done on an enormous scale. This area provides something like 70% of the vegetables and the hay in the winter for the United States. And that's in only one county, so equivalent of 1 Judets. This area here, this is only maybe 20 miles away in the same county. You have sand dunes. You have the biggest accumulation of sand dunes in the United States. You have an area about 70 kilometers long of just solid sand dunes. And on one side of the road, people are free to do whatever they want, to go take their bikes, their cars, their dune buggies, and make a great playground of it. Some environmentalists would say this is bad because, okay, it's carving up the sand. Others would say, okay, the sand's going to move away anyway, it's fine. And you can see how dry it is. I mean, this place is just bone dry. And so it's a place that's very rough to live in. But if you don't mind putting up with the temperature, putting up with all these inconveniences, there aren't many people telling you what to do there and what not to do there. This is some more of the sand dunes. And obviously a guy jumping his car with his family. And there they are at the end of the day, looking out towards the other side, actually looking out towards Arizona. Or I should say Nevada. This is still a picture from the first guy who was setting up his big mountain that he's built over time. And the sun setting on that. It's a place of incredible beauty at night. Every single night I've been there, there's been incredible sunsets. The air is very clean. So it's both, once again, this area of a lot of environmental problems, but also some insane beauty. This is actually showing, from the far left to the far right, is the area that the canal ended up destroying when there was a flood. So when they made the canal and then it finally overflowed, it's carved out an area about 1 kilometer wide. And now you would know it. Now if you walk through there, you say, okay, this is normal. This is an area showing agriculture. Those are hay bales on each side of the road stacked up probably something like 7 meters. And as far as you can see, they've just basically formed a tunnel. I was able to stand there for about 30 minutes making photos and no car went by. So if you're looking for a place of solitude, it's good. It also, it's a little lonely. Up here, on the top right, is a factory that's actually creating energy. It's creating about the equivalent of 40 of the largest windmills available today. This is a geothermal plant. And they go deep into the earth, and they're able to get very hot soil, whatever, create energy from this. And that's actually something that's fairly non-polluting, but at the same time it's very corrosive. So the equipment they use, a piece of tungsten carbide that's 4 centimeters thick will be destroyed in 1 month working there, just because of the harshness of the environment down under the earth. This is right next to this plant, and it has nothing to do with the plant. The plant is actually not producing large pollutants. This area, a couple of years ago, was still part of the sea, and it's a very famous area in American photography. There's a lot of the top photographers that photograph these trees, but they always have water, and you're always seeing the reflection. Well, when I got there, there is no water. This is what's happened. The sea is receding. And the same thing that happened in Soviet Union with the former Soviet Union with the Aral Sea. You can see how this says how far back it's gone. In the left corner, bottom left corner is a fish and a bird. And that's where they've met their end. And on the far left was the same plant that you saw with the grass on the other side. It's just looking at it from different directions. And yeah, there's the fish and the bird. Once again, some other strange areas where people have tried to build, and finally nature took it back. So that's a lot about what this area is. A lot of places where people have had dreams, built all sorts of things, and then other people who are trying to start their new dreams. This is a man who was in prison in New York. He was a member of a Mexican, let's say Mexican mafia or Mexican gang. And he came back here because he said, I got out of prison, I don't want to go back to my same way of life. This is a place for new beginnings. And so I photographed him for a while, and then somebody said, okay, why don't you take off your shirt, because he's covered in tattoos from his old way of life. Now he's working in fields. Whether he'll succeed or not, I don't know. But he knew if he stayed where he was, he wouldn't succeed. There's this region out here is where people have been living. It used to be a military base in World War II. And the military left a lot of slabs of concrete behind. They took all the buildings down and said, okay, this is an area that we don't need anymore. And people have set up there. Some people come only during the winter. This person's marked an area off with stones. And there's no government. It's just basically people decide, I want to sit here and live here for free. And nobody's blocking them. I got into issues or discussions with them, like what happens? You don't want to have government, you don't want to have social control. But what happens if a neighbor causes a problem? Because even in this area, you still have neighbors. And they said, oh, well, if a neighbor gives us a problem, when they go to town, we burn their place down, and then they don't come back. So unfortunately, there's no sort of paradise. Even if somebody's trying to truly escape organized society, there still has to be some rules. Somebody created a library there that's a volunteer library, but finally people got tired of, the librarian got tired of running it, so they set up a sign saying, this is our library, everybody has to take care of it themselves. And so when you have no organized society, then the people, this is very dark and hard to see, but there's a note up there saying that the librarian has quit, and people need to go stock the books and keep it clean themselves. If they do this, it will keep existing. So in a way, this isn't like when a country is beginning, where everybody is trying to set up their own rules, their own way of being. The last couple pictures here are two very extreme ends of the perspective. This is a young guy from my home state that's about 20 years old, just setting out to see the world. He's basically like a hippie. He's traveling around just with a backpack. These pictures are both taken just from the light of the fire. And this is an old man about 80 years old who's also out in the desert living under a tree. The young guy, he plans in a couple of months to be back home. He's just off exploring the world. The old guy, this is his final place he wants to be. And so basically, this whole area is a place of, like I was saying, of a lot of contradictions, of a lot of different, both disasters and beauty at the same time, and how they all work together is both very tough, but also it's requiring people to have a sense of community that maybe is different than in the city, because people are truly dependent on the people next to them, because you can't just call up, call for pizza, whatever. So it's this is one of the things that drew me to it. I don't actually think that I have any great conclusions or answers from it. It actually draws for me more questions than answers. Thank you.